Hi, I'm Jackie Rabbit. Today I want to talk to you about being a woman in a male-dominated workspace and what that's like, and whether or not you have to stay with the career that you're currently in and you feel like you maybe need a change. There are places for women or people like ourselves that are appropriate that might make you feel a little bit more fulfilled in the workspace. So let's go talk about it. First, go give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Then click the little bell so you get an alert when I post the next video. Let's go talk about women in the workspace dominated by men and what that's like as a trans woman. Come on, let's go talk about it. I wanted to talk to you today about the workspace. And a lot of us, before transition, were in a lot of male-dominated workspaces, weren't we? I have been for 30 years. Obviously, I work in a machine shop, and that has been what I've done for a very long time. And I do like what I do. It is kind of interesting, but I have done it for a very long time. And I wanted to talk about what it was like kind of transitioning in this workspace and also being a woman inside a male-dominated field. It's a very different kind of world, but not a bad one. So there's choices here for you. If you love what you do, don't change it just because you're now female. There are places inside the industry that work perfectly fine and ways that you can make your existing job more fun and more fulfilling if you simply change the way you look at things. There is some negotiating that needs to be done along the way, but I've learned some good tricks and I'm going to share those with you. Or you can, like myself, find something more fulfilling. I really love the idea of the medical industry. I have seen so many trans women and trans men in the medical fields, in hospitals, in surgery suites. When I was recovering everywhere, I realized it's a very safe space for us. And I really like the idea of helping someone directly. While I might make a part or a piece or a box or something for a medical company that ultimately helps somebody or maybe even saves their life somehow, I don't have a direct interaction with that person, do I? And personally, I'd really love to do something one-on-one where I help someone directly. It's such a fulfilling thing to do. So that appeals to me greatly. And that's why I've been going to school for a while. Hopefully I can get that done very soon now that schools are back open. And by the time I'm done with my practical component of school, I'll be able to go take my state board test. I'm really excited about that. But I do get to still work here. So I'll be doing a little of both. My creative side loves to make things. And my personal side wants to be fulfilled by helping other people. So I actually will get to do both. And it's a very exciting thing for me to do. But let's talk about being in a male-dominated space. Machining in general, manufacturing, it's kind of a boys' club. Not always. I do know some girls in this field. There's some at the different places I buy the materials from, and I talk with them all the time. And it's really exciting for me to just be on that side of things and get to talk with the girls and order materials. And we talk about, kids in school and what's going on. That's a whole different world for me that I now get to enjoy. But also in this space, it's actually rare on the production side of things to see girls in the workspace. And here, I've been one of the only ones around. There have been people who have come and helped. Some of my friends will come and help me once in a while. And, other than that, that's what we've seen here. We've never had a lot of employees here at this company, but, by and large, they've all been male. So it just is the way that it is. One of the things that I have found difficult over the course of time is once I transitioned and was perceived by everyone as female and no longer outed myself every single time anyone ever saw me, was that I didn't have the competence they were looking for. And I found some ways around it. So it got to the point where people were kind of walking past me to come find somebody who knew what they were talking about or knew what they wanted because they assumed the girl in the front was just there to answer the phones. Then they were redirected back to me after they'd wandered around to shipping and shipping sent them back to me. And then they were confused like, oh, you're going to help me? I'm like, yes, I'm going to help you. And we went from there. So now, after some time has gone by, we've learned some tricks, especially on phone calls. When we get a phone call that comes in and they can't answer a very technical, specific question that falls on me, they are very kind, and I didn't make them do this. They figured it out on their own, especially I like the guy in shipping. We'll send it over. And he's very specific. He tells them immediately before he even gives me the phone, he tells them, oh, I'm going to go send you over to our expert on that particular thing. She completely geeks out on that. She is the leading geek in that item and will tell you anything you need to know and everything else you didn't want to know about it. And usually then I get the phone call and they are absolutely ready for me to be the expert. And that works wonderfully. So the lead in, the expectation is set by somebody else saying, oh, she's the expert. I'm going to hand you to her so she can answer the questions I can't. That immediately takes away the gender bias. And it works like a charm. And once they started doing that, I really don't ever deal with, oh, can you send me to somebody who knows something? Is there somebody in sales? Can you send me to somebody who specifically knows that product? And it's just like, oh my gosh, I not only created that product, I programmed the machines to run and make it. I'm the one that knew everything there was to know about it. I have to answer the question. So it's hard to tell them, well, I am the expert, I know what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, that'll bruise an ego. And so I've learned along the way that you can't bruise people's egos by stomping your knowledge on them. It doesn't always work. I may have that knowledge and I may be able to do that, but it's just not going to work. Not only is it bad form, you bruise an ego, you lose a customer. So I found along the way that diplomacy is very important. And I can tell them certain things. So if I have a blind call and I'm faced with, they don't believe I'm competent enough to answer their question, I usually then kind of lead myself in. Oh, well, because I've worked with this, I have had to be educated about this product and I've received lots of education. So the guys that do these things have had training courses and I've taken all of them and I'm very well versed. I promise you, I have been educated on this product line. I know the specifics. I can totally help you with that. Shoot any question you have at me. I'm really good at this one. I can help you. And that usually does the trick. Not always, but most of the time. And then typically just getting to the point where they can ask me some questions. If I answer enough of them in a row correctly without bruising an ego, we usually develop rapport. And once you've developed enough of a rapport, you can move forward. And that works out really well too. Then they come back and the next time they remember you're the girl that helped them out. They know that you are knowledgeable in what they need and helped them last time and they want you to help them again. Then you get a return customer and that's a very important thing to have. So there are ways to get through the difficulties of being a woman in a male-dominated industry, but you must work at it and you must be diplomatic and don't bruise any egos unless you want to burn that bridge. And you never do in business, do you? Never a great idea. Sometimes the competitive side of me will still show up a little bit, but I know better than to let it loose because it doesn't do well in the workplace. Other than that, I do enjoy being able to make things. I have to admit, I've made many things for myself. Like I've made speakers for myself and amplifier cabinets for myself. I was going to cut out some guitar bodies on some of the routers and stuff. I've never got around to that, but I really wanted to. Being in a space where you can make almost anything out of wood or plastic or metal, it's really fun to be able to do things for yourself. But I find myself doing kind of boring things like a riser for my TV or, a little box to go over a model that I like, to keep the dust off of it. I don't do the really exciting things that I do for my customers. I don't do them for myself. It's kind of like the mechanic's car never runs right and the cobbler's kids don't have shoes and the painter's house needs a paint job from 10 years ago. So it's kind of the same deal. I don't really make a lot of stuff for myself because I do it all day at work. But what I've been looking at, so if those things help you in your workspace, if you're in a male-dominated workspace and those little tricks and tips help you, great. But if you're really unfulfilled and it's time for something new, I'll share with you my thoughts. I would like to move into something where I fulfill someone's need directly, something good for them, something they really do need and is personally rewarding for them and for me to be able to help them. And in the medical field, I find that one-on-one connection, I'm physically helping you with something you need, really makes me feel quite good, very satisfied with myself. So, and that harkens back to the days of my retail space when I used to do this for our retail store years ago. I loved working one-on-one with customers and helping. So this is even a step beyond that. One of the things we all go through, or most of us go through, that is long, time-consuming, uncomfortable, and needs to be done is facial hair removal. So I developed a really big love of electrology. So for more than the last year at this point, I've been going to school, studying electrology, and I'm going to go finish off my practical portion, get my state board test done, and be an electrologist and work on that as time goes by and build a client list with a good friend of mine who has her own practice. And I'm so excited for that future. It is something I have to work forward to. I do have a tuition to pay. There's certainly a lot of time involved, but the payoff is going to be fantastic for me. It's the same level of pay. It's not like I'm jumping up in the world. It's good pay, and I'm not going to deny that I'm going to be very happy to do it. And it's a different kind of work. It's far less physical, which does suit me quite well because I have lost a ton of muscle mass, believe me. But I'm really looking forward to being able to help someone one-on-one. And not only do I get to help just someone, I get to usually help another trans person. And that, to me, is someone I want to help. And I will really be excited when the day occurs and I can start doing that. So there are more things out there that are more suited for women in many different workspaces, but medical's one that I see a lot of trans people floating towards. I mean, phlebotomists, surge tech, radiology technicians, tons of fields with lots of secondary, post-secondary schooling that you can get to go be in that field. And if you're going to school through the process of transition, like myself, you might be done with transition and ready to enter that field. It would be really good. So the time of transition might be a great time to go back to school. Schools are now starting to open. So your options might start opening up as things get better with COVID. A lot of schools let you do tons of the work, the theory component, at home. So I was able to do much of the hours that I needed at home on my laptop with all the theory componentry. So you don't even have to go to school, but for practical, you will need to. Different programs and different kinds of medical backgrounds need different things. So it will vary. But I'm excited for that, and I get to do both. I will still be on contract here to consult, which gets me in the door, and I can still use the equipment when I want to, and I still get to exercise my creative side, and I get to do something in the field of my new choice for my new career where I help someone just face to face. I am helping someone with the issue they have, and that's going to feel very satisfying to me. Just realize there are options here. You're not stuck. Even if you feel like you are, look for those silver linings. There are positives around you. I want you to take this moment right now to just think about some good things that happened to you recently. It could be a lot of little things. It could be just little tiny things. You got the good parking spot that you really were hoping you would, and you got it. Or you got to the front of a line recently, or something got delivered quickly. There could be little things. You add them together. Those good things do add up to some good stuff. Don't focus on all the bad things, which is our nature, my nature for certain. But I recently have been thinking about all the good things that have been happening, and I have a lot of great things, great people in my life, great things happening, things falling together that are making my world easier and me happier. And I'm very satisfied with trying to find those positive things. And I want you to take time to just think, what are those positive things? And remember them. Hunt for them all the time. You'll feel much better overall if you realize how many good things are actually happening instead of focusing only on the forest fires that you have to put out. Eventually, as you take this thing one day at a time, it gets better. There is an end. You do get through it. It gets you to the place where you want to be. And you might as well take that time of getting there to prepare yourself for who you want to be when you get there. I'm really excited that I was able to go to school It was difficult because the schools were closed, and I feel like I wish I was there now, but I'm glad that the schools are open, and by the time I'm done with my practical, the state board exams should be rolling again too. So those are really positive things to think about. Remember, I care how this goes for you. It matters to me that you get through your transition and that you realize there is a time when you get to say, I'm done, wherever that part of your life happens to be. Whether you're starting today, you've been doing it for years, or you feel like you're just a step away from the last thing you need, it's just a journey, and you take it one day at a time. Remember, it matters to me how you get through this. I care that you're doing well and moving through this, and that's why I share, hoping you'll realize by my example, you can get through it too. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time. Bye. Recently, a phone call came in and somebody needed some very specific and technical questions answered. And I'm not always the first choice because when they get the girl on the phone, they kind of figure I don't know what I'm talking about. But because the person who picked up the phone was my dad, he immediately told this person, I'm going to send you to the company guru on this product line. Don't worry, she will answer every question you have and probably a million you didn't want answered. And it was true. I ended up spending an hour on the phone talking to the customer, and they are so happy. However, they probably can't spend an hour every single time they want to place an order.